Welcome on Texas football. Time for the Saturday morning conversation. I'm Bobby Burton, joined by Rod Babers and Gerry Hamilton. This episode is sponsored by our friends at Tito's Handmade Vodka. Rod B, Longhorn 7-3, Arkansas Razorbacks 2-8. On the surface, it looks like this should be a Longhorn game going away, but reality it is the Razorbacks have kept almost every SEC game close. Of their 6 conference games so far, they've lost 5 by just 1 score. How do you see today playing out for the Longhorns and the Razorbacks?
I do think, Arkansas with their potent offense, they're going to be able to put some points on the board, guys. You're talking about offense, top 5 in the country and 10, 20-plus yard plays generated. If you go look at the most explosive offenses in terms of, the RPOs, they're the top RPO offense in the country, averaging almost 10 yards per RPO. Texas has a good RPO defense, but that'll be challenged today. And what I think is going to be most important for Texas, they got to turn this team over. They got to get some takeaways. They are 122nd in turnovers lost so far this year. Texas has 16 takeaways, but only 4 of those have kind of come in the last 4 games. Most of those have come early on in the season. So I think for Texas, they really got to figure out a way to get their hands on the football. And for Arkansas, they've been in all these games. You talked about it. They got 6 one-score games. If you go look at those 6 one-score games, they lost a turnover margin 10-3. In those one-score games, right? Turnover margin is big. And usually sometimes it's been turnovers on their game, like on their way to a game-winning or game-tying drive when they've turned the ball over in critical moments. So that's what Texas has to do. They got to find a way to show up and just make plays in critical moments against Arkansas. They will score points. I don't know if Texas nobody's really stopped them from being able to score some points. I think Auburn did a really good job against them for the most part. In Notre Dame, I think they'll score some points, but I think Texas got to find a way to win and make some plays in critical moments. Red zone, third down, or getting key takeaways.
Gerry, what do you think about this game?
So when I was watching Arkansas, I thought they had the similar offensive line issues that Vanderbilt had in pass protection, both tackles and a guard. And I think the left tackle is going to have a hard time with Colin Simmons, and I think the right tackle can be had too. From a pass rush standpoint. So one of the things I'm very interested in is how Bobby Petrino calls this game. He is a smart offensive coordinator and play caller. He is going to do his best not to put Taylor Green in harm's way physically in this game. And to do that, Rod's mentioned that on Friday at our live stream at Co-op, how much they move the pocket, how much Taylor Green plays on the move. I think we're going to see a lot of that today because Bobby Petrino cannot afford to let Colin Simmons go one-on-one against a left tackle his left tackle in this game. That won't end well. So that's one of my big things. And we've talked about the secondaries all week, right, as we should. But there's 2 things I'm watching. Can Arkansas pass protect against the Texas pass rush? I think that's an issue with or without Anthony Hill in this game for them. And the second thing is everybody's run the ball pretty successfully on Arkansas. This game feels a little like Oklahoma after the Florida game to me, in that we may see Texas try to, especially coming off the Georgia game too, to see Texas really work to run the football for 2 reasons. 1, to actually establish the run and possess the ball. 2, to keep your secondary out of harm's way this week. Because if Arkansas happens to possess the football on you, they're going to score a lot of points because the Texas secondary, it's like when you have an undisciplined football team, it's not going to get fixed week 11. Your secondary is probably not getting fixed in 1 week at this point in the year.
It's interesting. You guys both took and talked about the Arkansas offense versus the Texas defense. You guys kind of just gave cursory discussion to the Texas offense and Arch Manning. I want to mention, but before we go further, I need to say thank you to our sponsor each and every week for the Saturday conversation, our friends over at Tito's. Tito's, America's handmade vodka, right here in Austin, Texas. Tito's Handmade Vodka is a proud sponsor of your Texas Longhorns, distilled and bottled by Fifth Generation Inc., Austin, Texas. 40% alcohol by volume. Savor responsibly. I'll be having some a little bit later today, by the way. Again, that's Tito's Handmade Vodka, proud sponsor of your Texas Longhorns. Guys, I mentioned that Texas offense. I didn't hear much y'all talk about, well, what's Arch Manning going to do? What about Emmett Mosley and Ryan Wingo, is the health of his hand? DeAndre Moore. What are we thinking that we're going to see from this Texas offense today? Any ideas, Rod? I'll start with you.
I want to see explosive plays. I want to see big chunk yardage plays. And I know, some people may want to see that in the running game. That would be nice. More likely, we're probably going to see in the passing game, but you should be able to break big runs in the running game too. The thing about this Arkansas team, yes, we talked about how explosive the offense is, top 5 most explosive offense in the country, but their defense is just as bad as they are good in generating explosive plays. Their defense is just that bad in giving them up. They are 132nd and 130th in 10-plus and 20-plus yard plays allowed. So you should be able to get chunk yardage plays. They've allowed 3.4 points per drive versus Power 4 opponents. That is the worst mark in the Power 4. So I'm not saying you'll have your way with Arkansas, but you should be able to get yourself out of harm's way. Like if you end up in a third and long versus this Arkansas team actually is very realistic for Texas to be able to convert that. You should be able to get some deep shots, and we know Texas hadn't really taken a lot of deep shots, but against this team, you should be able to convert some of those. You should be able to get some of your quick passes on the outside and break those perimeter screens, because this Arkansas team has been giving up chunk yardage plays to everybody all year long. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, look. So for the Texas offense, I think they're going to move the ball well. I think they're going to score the ball on Arkansas, and I agree with Rod. Chunk plays, I think those are there, whether it's in the run game or pass game. I think you can. Everybody in the pass game should have a chance to make an explosive play in this game. I think. Look, there's 2 big factors for me, and it's been kind of the 2 things. The one thing that people have talked about most this year's offensive line, keeping Arch Manning as clean as possible. Quincy Rhodes and Xavier Sori, they have 2 guys who can get after the quarterback. One's a D lineman, 6'6", 275. The other guy's an outside edge rush linebacker, and he's really good backside pursuing. Yeah. If they can handle those 2 guys, because Arkansas plays a 385-pound nose guard, plenty of snaps. If he's in there on any third downs, that's a wasted pass rusher. But he's a good player, don't get me wrong. But if Texas can handle their 2 pass rushers, I think Texas will mount some quick drives and mount the type of drives that Steve Sarkisian wants to have. Hopefully that's complimentary football. But I think I'm just not worried about Texas offensively unless they give the ball to Arkansas in this game. Yep. There's no data point for the Arkansas defense being able to hold up against a team as talented as Texas on offense, even as poorly as Texas played for a lot of the season. There's just nothing I can really turn to and say, okay, they might be able to do this against Texas or hold Texas down. All that would happen, the only way Texas doesn't score 30 in this game is if they turn the football over, self-inflicted, or they can't get Arkansas off the field.
Mm-hmm. Both things have happened this year at times, by the way. Although I will say even Arch, I think, has done a great job at taking care of the ball of late. And there have been, knock on wood, no fumbles of note at this point in the season, really. So to Jerry, to your discussion, I think we got to make sure that continues, and then they can just score. Hopefully, look, we both put Texas in the 30s, at least in this game, from our prediction standpoint. Hopefully that continues. I'm looking for another positive movement in game from Arch Manning. Just keep getting better, because not just this year, I'm telling you, Texas is going to, attach its hopes to Arch Manning over the next 2 years. So, or at least through 2026. So we'll see how that goes. All right, final score predictions, guys. We gave these out yesterday. I came in at 31-28 Longhorns. Jerry, you were at 38-30. Rod B, 36-31. Rod, how do you get the 36 in your mind? I mean, where did that come from?
It's going to be a safety or a 2-point conversion will get them there somehow. I think I got something weird happening with I think you go to safety. I got a feeling, gut feeling.
All right. Hey, it was unanimous. Everybody went with the Longhorns. So we'll have to, do a little Holy Trinity, and pray and see what happens today. But Longhorns, 8.5-point favorites overall. It's a 57-point over, by the way, if you keep track of that there in Las Vegas or thereabouts. All right, we'll talk next about some other SEC games. The game of the day, maybe in the SEC, actually occurs early. And one of the reasons why it's the game of the day, in my opinion, Missouri versus Oklahoma. This is one of Oklahoma's last two games where they have a chance to actually knock themselves out of the playoffs. It's easy to say they should be in the playoffs right now, right, guys? But Missouri going to Oklahoma. Oklahoma only favored by 6.5, though. This may just be the new SEC or the SEC where everybody's a one-score game if you're playing a conference opponent. Rod or Jerry, who wants to talk about that one first?
I would go, I think, because of the Oklahoma rush defense will be challenged because they can still run the ball, man. Missouri does a great job running the ball. They're leading the country in forced missed tackles in the run game, leading the country in yards after contact. So it'll be all about whether they can neutralize the run game for Missouri. If they can do that and force Missouri to have to throw the football, then that's going to showcase the best part of the Oklahoma defense, which is forcing negative plays and their havoc rate. I think they averaging 10 tackles for loss a game. So I'll take Oklahoma. Just because they got the quarterback. I think they got the quarterback advantage with John Mateer, even though he hasn't necessarily played well. I'll give them the advantage there. But this is a matchup of two really good defensive fronts because that Missouri defensive front is tough as well, man. They really are one of the best in college football. It's one of the best D-lines in college football. It keeps them in the game.
Jerry, your thoughts on OU versus Missouri? Is this a running quarterback which Prabula is? He has some real athleticism. Is that perhaps an issue for the Sooners, or Sooners headed for the playoffs, in your opinion?
Yeah, so a really interesting game in Norman for me because 99% of people had Brent Venables fired by now, and he's clearly not. But to Rod's point, Oklahoma still struggles in pass pro, and Missouri can get after the quarterback. And that is what Oklahoma, and it's almost what we've talked about with Texas in some past games. Look, if Oklahoma can give Mateer enough time or put him in a position where he can at least get in this scramble mode, then I like Oklahoma in this game. And I do think Oklahoma presents a major problem for Missouri, even as good as Ahmad Hardy is. Oklahoma is going to be coming after Missouri quarterbacks in this game. Bo Prabella, been reported he looks like he's going to give it a go today, but he's not going to be 100%. So they're going to be coming after him because they want to get the freshman back in the game, right? And Oklahoma, they created pass rush without our Mason Thomas last week. And I think this Oklahoma team is playing for so much right now, as painful as it is to say, that they're going to win this football game against Missouri because Missouri has really fought the injury bug in conference play at the one position you can't, and that's quarterback. And so Bo Prabella coming back off the injury, we know how that can look for quarterbacks coming off an injury. I like Oklahoma's ability to rush the passer here, get in Missouri in too many third and longs in this game, and then the Oklahoma offense to muster enough points against a really good pass rushing defense and a good defense. I think it'll be low scoring. I think Oklahoma's going to win. Too much mojo with them now.
I'm going to go with OU here, although I will say that pass rush for Missouri, if they can make John Mateer make mistakes and not make any mistakes and give OU's defense a turnover or a pick six, I think that Missouri could keep this game close, even though it is in Norman, and I think that's an important factor. Okay, that's the 11 o'clock game on ABC. The night game on ABC is actually Tennessee, Florida. The Volunteers going to Gainesville. Guys, 7-3 Tennessee versus 3-7 Florida. But like I mentioned elsewhere, guess what the line on this game is? I mean, 7-3 versus 3-7 with no head coach. The line is only 3.5 in favor of Tennessee. Gators are a different team at home, maybe. I think that's possible. They have a lot of talent, certainly, but only 3.5 against Tennessee in Florida. I mean, what the Longhorns may have just got unlucky in Gainesville. I don't know.
It's something about the mojo there. I don't know about it's something about Tennessee going to Florida, because this is the stat that I got, and it kind of blew my mind. Tennessee hasn't won in Gainesville since 2003. 10 straight losses, 8 by more than one score, 7 by double digits, and the last 3 by an average score of 22 points. I have no idea what the hell. I know it's a historic thing that goes through many coaches, but maybe it's just something about Tennessee going to Florida. I don't know. Ask Steve Spurrier about it. Like, I don't know.
What do you think? What do you think, Jerry?
I'll take Florida. I'll take Tennessee, though. But I'm just giving you that. That may be why the line is what it is. But I'll take Tennessee.
What are you thinking, Jerry?
I'm taking Tennessee. I mean, how many guys does Florida have out in this game? It's like, how many guys are chilling right now? I mean, waiting on the next coach. I'm definitely taking Tennessee in this game. I get the history of it, and it is a night game in the swamp. Maybe they're saying Orange goes to the swamp, they lose. Maybe it's as simple as that. I'll throw a different one, another part out there that's very interesting about this game. If Lane Kiffin were to pick LSU over Florida, the name Josh Heupel's been brought up. I mean, are guys interviewing for the Florida job on the field back-to-back weeks? Is that where we're at with the Florida Gators football season?
Yeah, man, that's ugly.
I don't think I could handle that. That would not be a good fit, would it? At Florida, I don't know. I'm going to go with Tennessee. I just think that Florida's season now is too far gone. It wasn't too far gone earlier in the year when Texas played them, but more injuries have piled up, to Jerry's point. And I just think the Gators have been had. They're waiting for this season to be over. One of the worst in Florida football history. Got rid of their coach midseason. Last game in the SEC to talk about, Kentucky goes to Vanderbilt. This one's important. I think Vandy needs to win this, actually, for Texas to actually stay in the college football playoff hopes. And the reason I say that is because that Vandy win is one of Texas's quality wins. And I know they don't use quality wins in the same vernacular right now, but that team was a top 10 team when they visited Austin earlier this year. Meant a lot for the Longhorns to beat them up. Jerry, what do you think about this one?
Yeah, look, I'm not going to bet against Pavia for sure. This is a huge game for them. Vanderbilt knows what's in front of them. After Texas beat Vanderbilt and they left Austin, they were probably thinking playoff hopes are slimmer, much, much slimmer. Then Texas dropped the game, right? Then some other things have happened around it. And now Vanderbilt's 2 wins away, Kentucky and at Tennessee, from very likely getting in the college football playoff because other teams are going to lose ahead of them. This is I'll call it once in a lifetime opportunity for Vanderbilt football the next 2 weeks. These are 2 massive weeks for this football team. And I'm not going to bet against Pavia in this game because he's lived for this moment. This is the thing. He came to Vanderbilt and said, I'll get you to a bowl game. And why don't we just go ahead and go make the playoffs? And he has a chance to back up some pretty big words the next 2 weeks. And he likes that. That's what makes him who he is. The X's and O's we can talk about with this game. Kentucky has a lot of guys out. They've had a rough injury year. If Kentucky doesn't run the football effectively, I don't think this game's within 10 points.
Rod B?
Yeah, I think he's right. I think Vanderbilt can smell it, how close they are to accomplishing a monumental task, and monumental I think accomplishment, achievement overall, just for a program that we all know was the bottom of the SEC prior to Diego Pavia getting there. So I think they beat them because Kentucky's not a good football team, and Vanderbilt actually is a good football team. So I think ultimately, it could end up being a blowout, but I think Pavia magic happens. It's been happening every week. I'll bet on that.
I'm going to go Vanderbilt as well. I think that they know this is when they win this, when they're playing Tennessee, and then they really are having a chance to go to the college football playoffs at that point, a place that Vanderbilt's never been before or even sniffed in previous regimes or times there. Other games around the SEC, A&M hosts 1-10 Samford. The line on that game, guys, 54.5. 54.5. Georgia hosts Charlotte, 43.5. Okay. Coastal Carolina goes to South Carolina. Gamecocks are favored by 24.5. Western Kentucky plays LSU. LSU favored by 22.5. Basically, it's cupcake weekend for most of the SEC, other than a few like Texas, Missouri OU, Tennessee, Florida, and UK Vandy. All right, we'll get going into a couple of big-time national games we're going to talk about. Now let's talk about one of our sponsors, Huel. Rod, give us a lowdown.
Oh, yeah, man. Most mornings for me, I mean, it's nonstop. You got kids going on. We're recording. Got other errands I got to run, whatever wifey tells me to do. You know, that list can be pretty long. And I used to skip breakfast most of the time or grab something quick that never really kept me going. Sometimes unhealthy start to the morning. Now I just shake up a Huel RTD and I am set on my way. Vanilla's been my go-to lately because it actually fills me up and tastes pretty good as well. And what I love is how simple it is, folks. It's 35 grams of protein, 6 grams of fiber, 27 essential vitamins and minerals, no added sugar, gluten-free, and under $5 a meal. You can't beat that if you're a ball on a budget. It keeps me focused and cuts out those hangry moments completely. I tell my wife all the time, she gets a little hangry. She needs to try Huel. I've also added their Daily Greens RTD, Peach Today, light, smooth, only 25 calories, 4 grams of fiber, and developed by real nutritionists, folks. People who know what they're doing. Perfect mid-morning pick-me-up. If you're juggling a busy schedule like I am, like all of us are, workouts, travel, Huel makes eating healthy and simple. Get 15% off as a new customer with my code, all right, our code, ONTexas. That's ONTexas at Huel.com/ONTexas. Your purchase helps support the show. And we appreciate you and appreciate our friends over at Huel.com.
Thank you very much, Rod B. All right, USC Oregon 2:30 game on CBS definitely has playoff implications. Guys, if Texas wants to get in the college football playoffs, they need Oregon to beat USC. Now, this game is in Eugene. The Ducks are favored by 9.5, but USC feels like they're on a little bit of a roll right now, actually. What are y'all's thoughts on this game, Rod?
Yeah, I can't wait for this game. Here's my favorite stat about this matchup. You got USC. If you go look at yards per play, USC right now is number 2 in yards per play. I think Oregon's number 1 in yards per play. Right? If you go look at the basically explosive plays, 20-plus yard plays, Oregon is 2nd in the country with 72. I think USC is 9th with 61. So both of these offenses are legit really good, and we know that USC's got one of the best quarterbacks in the country with Mayava and actually a 1,000-yard receiver. In Lamone. I mean, they are a loaded offense. The key will be, can that a USC defense find a way to stop Oregon's offense? That's what we're not sure about. And I don't really trust the USC rush defense. I think actually they do pretty well matching up against the pass defense. They got some good athletes in the secondary, but the rush defense for Lincoln Riley, and it's actually one of the best defenses he's ever had. That's what I worry about. They're actually 126th in rushing success rate allowed. That could be trouble versus Oregon. So I'll take Oregon, but I think it could end up being interesting if USC gets hot.
Jerry, what about you?
Rod sold the thunder, and I'm with it, man. Oregon everybody thinks about Oregon as some passing offense. Not this year. They ran it 100 times more than they've thrown it. Wow. And how does that match up with USC? Perfectly. I mean, that matches up perfectly with USC. So I like Oregon to cover. And again, the most underrated home atmosphere in college sports and in college football is Autzen Stadium. I like Oregon to win this football game and probably cover that number, because until USC stops the run, and they have to stop the run in this game to have a chance, or else Oregon has speed at running back, and they run it a lot.
I wanted to add this. I will add one piece to that. The only caveat I would say to you, what y'all just discussed, is if USC somehow gets out early.
Yeah.
And then Will Stein, the offensive coordinator at Oregon, becomes too one-dimensional and has to pass, that might play into USC's hands a little bit. But we'll see. I'm with y'all. I think Oregon wins this game. I'm not so sure that it's not a little bit closer than the 9.5-point spread. Jerry, you wanted to mention for sure the last game of the day for us, the Cincinnati versus BYU game, because this is another one of those games that if Texas wants to make the playoffs, they need one of these Big 12 teams to bump each other off. This is a real possibility here in this BYU game. The Cougars only favored by 2.5 over a 7-3 Cincinnati team. What are your thoughts, Jerry?
Yeah, my thoughts are pretty simple on this one. Utah can't get to the Big 12 championship game unless BYU dropped 2 games in a row, right? But Cincinnati, for the Texas fans out there, for your 9-3 fans, if there's another SEC team that ends up 9-3 that has a chance to get in, they need BYU to lose this game, still advance to the Big 12 championship game, and lose again to Texas Tech, because that would give BYU 3 losses, and they drop big time in that scenario. This is a time to be a Cincinnati Bearcats fan, and I'm not sure how many are out there, but they're probably going to have a few more Saturday. And do I expect Cincinnati to win this game? I'm not sure on that. Cincinnati, when they went out to Utah, now Utah is a bigger, more physical football team that's really good on both lines. They really struggle with that. But this is a home game for Cincinnati. Their quarterback's having one of the most underrated seasons going in this year in college football at the quarterback position. I think it's a flat out a toss-up game, but the reason we wanted to mention this game is BYU needs to take a loss now, still get the Big 12 championship game, and take another loss. That's what needs to happen for the hopefuls if there's going to be a 9-3 team get in.
All right. I think that's going to do it for today's Saturday morning conversation. I want to say thanks again to one of our key sponsors here on our game day coverage for the Longhorns, and that's our friends over at Tito's. Tito's is handmade vodka, is a proud sponsor of the Texas Longhorns, distilled and bottled by 5th Generation Inc., Austin, Texas. 40% alcohol by volume. Savor responsibly. Again, that's Tito's handmade vodka, proud sponsor of your Texas Longhorns. Guys, we've got more game day coverage coming today. Not only are we having the Saturday conversation this morning, but also we got the Texas tailgate. That actually is going to be moved to 10 a.m. Late notice here. We're going to be over at Kirby Lane Cafe on Guadalupe on the drag. Make sure you come by and check us out. 10 a.m. Me and Jeff Howe get started. Then, Jerry, you've got the watch with us the Von Lane watch with us at 2:30. And then we've got the post-game show immediately following the game. Again, thanks for watching our show here this morning. Good luck if you're driving into Austin. Also, be safe out there. For you guys, have a good one. Jerry, Rod, thank you very much. Thank you behind the scenes to Matthew, our producer. You don't know how much with this video. You guys have a good one. Welcome.